Hello everyone, Marcustal here. It's been a little while since the last video. Apologize for the delays. Had quite a few issues that very same day after recording the video, but my own situation and life stuff aside, let's just get into the actual meat of the video here. How things been progressing with regards to learning, Unreal Engine, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, right now I'm just finishing up the Unreal Engine's blueprints section of their documentation. I've gone through just about every single one of their sections, barring anything that I feel that isn't going to be particularly useful. But I do still intend to give it a few more reviews here and there just to make sure that I've got things down packed. But I'm starting to get into the preparatory phases for beginning C++ studies, as well as in general just moving on to the next section of studying Unreal Engine. A good part of my current planning at this moment in time, actually, is that I'm trying to figure out precisely how I'm going to start trying to better retain my information. Because right now, I've been progressing fairly quickly. I've been going through their level 2 designer information, their engine information, and their blueprints information at a relatively good clip. But I'd like to make sure that whatever information I'm currently learning manages to stay learned, rather than being forgotten if I take a week off or something. So I'm starting to investigate different ideas in order to better keep that information in my head. And right now, the best idea that I've got is just plain old starting up the pre-production for Dreams of Salvation at this early stage, and using the material that I've learned in my current notebooks and using that as the basis for building. Essentially, I'll only construct what I know how to construct at that immediate moment in time, and I'll just progressively keep adding on to and building upon that foundation using whatever I learned subsequently in order to have just one big project that I can use as a form of reference material. Since just plain old reading the information, copying it down in notes, and doing a few exercises while it's good, since that's the pattern I followed in my educational career all the way up to this point, I can tell that it has its own flaws, and the main flaw being that if you do take a while away from the subject, information just plain old starts to leave you. And I want to make sure that whatever I do, I try to keep that information, because unlike when I was younger, it actually financially costs me money and time, or I guess you can equate those two things, in order to obtain the knowledge that I do have now. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the best return on my investment by just cementing in that information as a strong foundation, rather than just kind of learning it, using it, losing it, like it's been going for the vast majority of my career in terms of education. On the note of education, I'm still attending university, of course. I just took 2 tests, actually, this past week in physics and calculus. I feel I did relatively well on calculus, a lot better than I was expecting. Although physics, I just outright aced the exam, so I'm doing pretty well there, although I still want to get a much firmer foundation in just general mathematics, since it's a pretty useful subject in general once you start getting into programming, engineering, and all that. Well, that just about sums it up. To go into a few of the topics I actually did learn directly. In calculus right now, we've been mostly dealing with things such as shell method and such, although we were working on application problems, and since we had a test up to this past week, we didn't really do that much new material, so I'll let you guys know on some more interesting stuff on the next week. But if you're trying to wonder more or less what kind of stuff we're using, it's general techniques such as shell method, like I mentioned, washer method, finding the length of a curved line, Riemann sums, again, just reviewing that. So general calculus 1 and 2 stuff here and there. Still early, but at the same time it is kind of a little rough on me since I didn't pay as much attention in calculus 1 as I kind of wished I did. But too late now. And with physics, we've mostly been going over a lot of classical physics, not really relativistic or quantum based, so it's not 100% applicable to reality, but it is functionally useful, and there are some principles that just generally are essentially reality. So, you know, general Newtonian physics, F equals ma, that kind of stuff. And it's been kind of nice, and I'm trying to find a way to integrate that as well, just because it is useful knowledge, and there are some things that I want to do in the future that will involve dealing with forces and motorization, so it would be useful to have a good foundation on how forces interact, the algorithms and such, that are useful on this Earth scale level, instead of the planetary-celestial body level that relativity tends to impact the most. So yeah, just trying to think through some ideas of projects, maybe some exercises that I can do. I might look up on some stuff online to maybe just generally keep it active, and I intend to go through the current notes I have and just kind of pick out the most important details and summarize those into a kind of cheat sheet so that I know at the very least the essential things that I must know in every single subject. but I want to further improve upon that strategy since, again, the main goal that I'm thinking through right now is just I've learned so much this past few months that I want to make sure that whatever I do learn, I keep, just because the whole high school dash American school systems of you learn things all the way from September to June, and then you have the 3-month break, and then you completely come back with almost the majority of it being gone. I'm not really fanatical about that right now, and I kind of feel disappointed in myself for not catching on to that kind of a weakness earlier, but then again, I didn't have an incentive throughout the majority of my youth, so I guess now is better than never, so yep, just what we have to do. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video. I hope this wasn't too long for a quote-unquote quick update, but I did want to share some of the information with you guys since some people voiced an interest in the comments section. Again, thank you very much for watching this video. This has been Marcus Doll, lying out.